What's up, YouTube? Today's the day to answer questions. The question is, could you please discuss the post-reload regrip you mentioned? For example, perfect grip from the draw, empty magazine, slide lock, shift your hand to the mag release, reload, actuate, slide stop. How do you recommend training for regrip that is exactly like the draw? My regrip is not consistently like my draw grip. Thanks. So, I don't know, I was probably drunk when I said it, but what he's talking about is having for whatever reason, either you do a mag change or some reason your hand comes off the gun, then after you regrip or after you do whatever you have to do, whether it's insert a new magazine, hitting the slide release, racking something, working on getting your hands back to being the perfect spot on the gun. An example would be doing a reload, hitting the button or something, not getting my hand quite back, putting the magazine in, and then ending up with some kind of a compromised grip or hand positioning. So kind of how to combat that. First off, before I even get to there, I want to talk about how I draw the pistol. So for me, there's all these people like having their own names and special knickknacks and gizmos. For me, the draw for my hands at my side, all I do is my hand just comes over the top of the gun. I close my fingers around it. I don't do the scoop thing. I think there's two types of people, those that have dropped their gun and those that will. The scoop would be having your hands along the side of the holster, or you hook it'd be your middle finger along the top of the holster. Then when you go to draw, you just kind of drag it along the whole thing. So you're just like hook the holster, drag it or slide it along the holster, and then at some point you'll grab the gun and pull it out. And then once you're pulling the gun out of the holster, then you'll work on getting your grip and establishing it and getting your grip before it gets out to the target. Anyway, for a variety of reasons, I'm sure you can understand why I'm not a huge fan of that one. I think you should have some people, especially for competition shooters, practice that and get very, very good at it. I'm too close-minded, too much of a FUD in that aspect, I guess. So I prefer to have a grip on the pistol before I draw it. So I just have my hands along the side, hand snaps over the top. I try not to push down on the gun in the holster or grind into it. All I want to do is just have my hand come over the top of the gun. Then basically when my hand just stops, my fingers just close and I grab the pistol and just draw it from the holster. That's the way I conceptualize it, about as easy as that. Then after that, once the gun's coming out toward the target, when it gets to be, I don't know, around my belly button, I think, or just a little bit off center. So where my support hand would be, I end up just having my support hand come in and hit the bottom of the trigger guard, and then my hands just close together, and that's kind of the process I use for drawing the gun and getting a grip on the way out to the target. So if you're watching, it's just the gun's, I'll try to get a good angle, but while the gun's going forward, then my support hand comes in, I hit the bottom of it, kind of close my fingers, and I'm getting my grip while it's extending to the target. So the question is, then if the gun goes empty, I've got to do like mag out, mag in, maybe hit the slide release, or any amount of other things. How do you get your hands right back in the position afterwards? Just now talking through the way my support hand gets the gun, I can pretty easily recreate that with any method I just explained. So if the magazine comes up and I seat one in the gun, I basically can just run my hand to the bottom of the gun, close it out that way. If I have to rack the gun for whatever reason, then my hand's just going to go back under the trigger guard. It doesn't mean I have to disconnect my hand so much and come down and karate chop it, but all that's going to happen is just roll the gun so the trigger guard is touching the top of my index finger on my support hand, and then it's just closing my hands together to grip the pistol. So you can get there from a variety of different ways or techniques. Everybody has their own preference for drawing and the way you apply pressure. One of the things I've heard, people talk about, if you had a horseshoe and you were trying to bend it, so if you have the horseshoe going this way, grabbing each side and wanting to bend it open, that's the pressure they use on the pistol. So doing something like that, it seems like, just to me, and I'm not very smart, but I think I'd have a really tough time doing that after I drew the pistol and did a reload or anything like that, because then if it goes mag in, I'm gripping the gun, and then while I'm going out, then I guess I have to try to like do that thing where I'm gripping it outwards or have my shoulders or whatever involved. That's why I also really like the approach of just holding the gun with my hands and forearms. Using my forearms in the way that I just lock my wrist, because obviously when the gun's recoiling, I don't want my wrist to be a pivot point, but otherwise I just hold on to the gun with my hands and trying to use my back, shoulders, or any goofy like techniques as far as bringing my shoulders up or putting pressure into it this way or pushing and pulling or anything else along that rate. For me, just simple is better. So I just want to have it very easy. So if I have to reload the gun or take a hand off, or if I'm maybe running, so I could have a hand off the gun because I'm running, then when I want to remount the pistol and get a grip again, I can just do the same thing like I did during my draw. Hand just hits the bottom of the trigger guard, close, the gun extends to the target, my hands are in the right spot. If I do a mag change from there, mag goes in, I'm just going to hit the bottom of the trigger guard and extend the target. If I have to rack it, same thing, hand just goes underneath the, kind of roll the gun, so it's already resting on the top of my support hand. Then I just close my hands together. If I have to hit the slide release, or if I brought a hand off, or I wanted to do it with my support hand, whatever, like it's not going to be that tough to just keep doing that motion. If I have to hit the mag release, for me, I have to compromise my grip just a little bit to get to the button. I don't like the goofy buttons or something where you can hit the magazine release without like moving your grip at all. I feel like that makes it too easy to hit the magazine release, and then it ends up happening when people don't intend for it to. So I just use the standard buttons with all of my guns. And so for me, I'm going to have to shift my grip just a little bit to hit the button. After I do that, I'm just going to shift it right back and try my best to have my hand back in the same spot it was to begin with. Once I insert the magazine, or if I run, I'm dismounting the gun, like remount it, whatever, then I'm working on just easily finding the same spot I had my hands in, which is why I like kind of that technique for gripping the pistol, where I just run it into the top of my support hand and close. And but again, everyone has a little bit different preferences for like where their fingers go or the way they conceptualize. Like I said, bending the horseshoe or doing 100 to 100 or push pull, whatever you like. I think just the important part with whatever technique you choose is that it's something repeatable. So you have to be able to do the same thing, the same pressures, the same position every time. So if you wanted to run your finger up on front of the trigger guard, for example, there's some very, very talented shooters that do that. You just want to make sure you train to the fact that you could insert the magazine and then find that grip, or rack it, refine that grip. And then not only the hand placement, but the pressures are very important. So to answer this person's question, the way to do that is, go figure, changing your habits and your dry fire training. If you're doing magazine changes, filling the magazines with dummy rounds, so it'd weigh the same as a real magazine with live ammo would be good. So I could practice drawing that off my belt with dummy ammunition, so it's not going to hurt anyone or cause a potential safety issue, but it would have the same weight as my magazines with real ammo. So it'd be just a bullet in a case without any powder or primer. Fill the magazine up full of those and practice with that. That way you have the same kind of weights, and you could work on getting the manipulations down as far as the movements. And then once you have that done, regripping the pistol, ending at sight picture, and then just assessing the pressures you have. Do you have the right pressure? Or after you do the mag change, your support hand you find is in kind of half the time, I'm exaggerating, but sometimes it's in a weirder position where you really don't mean for it to be. So you're working on changing your habits to get your hands to the right spot with the right pressures. And then, like I've said many times, you're just working to build positive habits. We all have habits. Some are good, some are bad. Some of us are cemented in our ways for the way we do things. Some people change is easier. But with training, if this person's discovered an issue where he doesn't like the way he regrips the gun after doing gun manipulations or mag changes, then this is just a habit you have to change. And with 5 minutes a day, 3, 4, 5 days a week, do that for a couple weeks. The next thing you know, you have a different habit. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse. You have to evaluate that at your training. Maybe it needs a tweaking. Or in a couple weeks, you might have the change made. It's permanent, and you're good to go. So it's kind of varies on person to person. I'm not like, I use the technique that I do just because I find it to be very easy. But if you have a subtle difference or something you like differently, or the way you conceptualize gripping the pistol, whether it's front to back grip pressure, all around grip pressure, if it's repeatable and it works for you, that's fine. I don't really get that spun up about that stuff. The important part is just that it's repeatable. So regardless of slide lock, load, just doing a speed reload, lowering the gun to run, putting your hand back on, can you get your hands back to the same position they were in and the same amount of force that you were just using previously while you were shooting the gun? So hopefully that gives you something to think about. If you have any questions, drop it below in the comments. I try my best to read the comments and reply. There are a lot of you leaving comments, which I appreciate. It's good to know that it's helpful for people, and try to engage with those. If you have questions for me, try my best to answer them. Or if it's something I can't answer in just a couple sentences, I just screen cap it, save it in a folder, and then when I make videos like this one, then I can just answer it more in depth than trying to cover it in a few sentences. So appreciate you watching and engaging and all that kind of crap. If you want to continue to like, share, subscribe, comment, that stuff's cool. If you don't, that's all right. Either way, I appreciate you watching and hope you have a good day.